right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bingetown TV and our coverage. I almost said of Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time, but not. But of, I
If
guess, a
only.
bunch of websites. I guess Crunchyroll if you're official. Jujutsu Kaisen. So this is going to be episodes 11 and 12, technically what they call 35 and 36. So it's Seance and Dull Knife. And I think that we've kind of settled into this 2 episodes per pod episode type of deal. I think it's easiest on us. We have like a vacation coming up, so like we're not going to be able to do the next one. So I think we're just going to settle into this 2x2 formula, which I personally like because we get to talk about things like continuation of things, and then we still get the cliffhangers and so on and so forth. So I think without further ado, we have 2 fights that we want to talk about first. They took up basically all of episode 11, which is going to be we have Itadori and Megumi, and they fight the old head, whose name I did not catch, and I am an idiot and didn't look up.
I
And
did
then we
not
have
get it either.
Ino versus the granny and the grandson, which turns into the OG legend in the game. So I think let's talk about the Ino and granny OG fight first.
Okay, I'm glad that we're doing these in 2 episode buckets because one, it gives me I feel like it gives me just enough JJK. Like I don't know if I could have handled covering
Yeah.
any more than this because these 2 episodes were incredible. I mean, maybe besides, I think we were texting about it in our group chat, just maybe besides the Gojo episode, I think these are without a doubt like the 2 best JJK episodes like to date, like of both seasons combined. And the first fight that we're talking about with my boy Toji coming back, that was such a treat. Like I kind of figured he was going to come back. Like you just don't introduce someone like that to just have him not come back. I thought it was interesting how they brought him back using the seance, which was I think the name of the episode as well. So that was like a new power, if you want to call it, that we got introduced to. So I just got immediately so hyped when his face like started transforming. I knew exactly where it was going. He just lays a wallop down on our fucking boy. Like when he takes the mask and is just set like shadow stepping everywhere, it was just the most baddest thing ever. I have so many chills right now just thinking about it.
Toji is a boss. I guess we're gonna talk about how whatever got revealed in the 36 too, right? Like that he is so strong and his body's so special that it like broke the freaking seance.
Like it was just his body versus a soul, which never in a million years would ever lose, I guess, because like souls, it makes sense, like souls being like the main purpose of like the body itself, you know. And so if you're just a body and you don't have a soul, like what would even defend against it? But his body just instinctively just is ready to combat.
He is, I mean, he's 1 in a million. Like out of besides Gojo, I think he's the only one we've seen that can completely just manhandle anybody and everybody that he comes across. He's so just entertaining. And I remember telling you, Dave, like, yo, you know, he's dead, but keep an eye out for his name because his like legend lingers. You know what I mean? He leaves lasting effects on his surroundings, and I mean, shit, he's in the heart of this arc, and now it makes the flashback in the beginning of the season all that much better too.
It's interesting you say that too, because I got the impression that Ino didn't know who he was.
Well, Ino's the guy with the bag on his head, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I think when he said that,
what did he say exactly?
Well, number one, he'd been dead for a long time.
Oh no, for sure. I'm just saying. It was just interesting that you had said like that his legend and everything. It's just interesting to think also that didn't. At least it seemed to me that he didn't know who he was at all. But he had like a second to think about it, and then he fucking gets his face bumbled in and thrown off a building.
I got caught off guard by that as well. But when he first witnessed him, it was like half his face.
Also true.
Maybe he didn't recognize him, but that could be a reach.
That was probably what made him cause the reaction. Is like, what the fuck's going on here?
I thought Ino's power was pretty cool. It's like
he got the short end of the stick because he was like looking super cool, and he's like, oh my god, he has these cool powers, and then Toji shows up, and it's like, okay.
You know what?
I don't care about this guy anymore.
He reminded me of from Shrek, Thelonious.
Oh yeah.
He looks like him, but Toji is so exciting, and he's, I mean, Ino's no match for him. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just any time Toji's on screen going forward. Like, I'm glad that we got someone to replace Gojo for me, because obviously I love Gojo and I love Toji. So once we lose Gojo, we get another badass character that I'm totally fine with. What is Ino's powers been like elaborated? Like, he just summons a homing drill kind of thing.
So the name of it is Auspicious Beast Summon.
Right.
So what he can do is they say that he can summon spirit mediums, or maybe he is a spirit medium, but he can summon kind of spirits of what they call the 4 apocalyptic beasts. So the first one he says is Kaichi, which is that honing drill one. The second one is Reiki, which seems like water that he can like skate on. It also kind of like protects him, like orbs that are around him. I don't remember him using a third one because I
don't think he did either.
I had number
only remember
3
those two.
as an open thing and it didn't happen, and then he goes to use 4 and then gets fucked up. Basically,
It was
his
so
power is cool.
cool. Yeah, I mean, his power was great because I mean, when it's like going around and it's homing on the main villain here, who gets his arm like blown off a little bit, which was really cool. He was pretty strong too in himself. He just seemed like the defensive player while the granny was doing her thing.
Yeah.
And when he catches the drill, though, it was so cool.
Well, you're like, you're showing off. We're getting this, they even give us a, flashback. We get him with Nanami, and, he's grilling the meats, and he's explaining to him, like, I want to do it the right way. And Nanami's like, you have semi-first grade potential, and we're getting his power. And it's like, oh my God, all right, new character. And then Toji shows up and just completely steals the moment. And it's like,
beauty of JJK. So it's cool because also I like this fight. It's like the medium, the old hag, as Toji calls her, and which their powers kind of mirror each other a little bit. Just the summoning. I guess the 4 people that the 4 beings, mystical beings that he's capable of summoning must be like some kind of mythological creatures.
Yeah,
that
like
he
some Japanese folklore.
It's folklore, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the idea of Reiki is very familiar to me as like a lifelong anime watcher, manga reader, but I don't know if I've ever heard it presented in this way. But I'm sure, obviously, there's some reasoning behind it. So
I just love when he's about to use number 4, and it's just Toji just takes the mask right off and just fucks him up. Do we want to cover what happens really quickly in the next episode too with him fucking up Granny? Because I just want to say that. I just basically want to say that was fucking badass too.
So great.
Because it was kind of, I think me and Alki were talking about it after the first episode came out, of how much of the memories were going to be there. I think I was under the impression that maybe there would be like some crossover, like he would know of Toji's backstory, but be his personality. I think Alki had some level of variance to that, but at the end of the day, I didn't know what it was going to be, and this kind of answered my question in that it was all the bad guys. It was his brain, but it was Toji's body. But Toji's body, again, like we kind of just summed up, was just so strong that he was able to just get his soul back into his body. Is what I'm taking.
I didn't want to reveal it to you. But
yeah.
They tried. All they wanted to accomplish was to tap into his physical prowess.
Mm-hmm.
But then it backfired.
Yeah, Granny thought she was hot shit.
And then he just had no remorse, because the mission that she sent him on was to go kill all the sorcerers, and he just looks at her. He's like, "You're a sorcerer too, right?" And just death.
So great. So
the flash step, I thought that you wanted to talk about that. His like flash step when he like was just like, "You're a sorcerer, right?"
Oh yeah.
And he just like basically instant transmissions next to her and fucks her up. It was great.
I'm so excited to see Megumi's reaction to seeing Toji.
I feel like he's probably gonna have a similar reaction to like I don't know. He never met his dad.
Yeah. I feel like though when like Gojo goes to Megumi when he's a kid, it's Megumi's old enough to be aware of like his surroundings. So I'm thinking maybe he does still remember his dad. But either way, it should be interesting. I think that's where basically at the end of all this discussion, that's where it seems to be headed, is that Megumi is going to be flying up to the top of that building and he's going to have a showdown with Toji.
Yeah. So honestly, we can get right into what's going on with Itadori and Megumi at this point. So we're at the top of the tower. We split up. We bring Jiro, who is this older guy who looks like someone else so much, and I just cannot put
He looks like the guy in the flashback that Geto squared off with.
It's like he looks like a character to me from like another cartoon. I just can't put my finger on it, and I'll probably think of it after the podcast, and then we'll never talk about it again. But I think before we get into, excuse me, before we get into this fight, they have an interesting flashback with Granny and Jiro, and just again, even when Gojo's not physically in the show, he is impacting the story and the plot so much. Where like we basically get the flashback that the two of them used to like be curse users, hired assassins, etc., etc. And once Gojo was born, like the whole world changed, the balance. So that's kind of explaining why they're against us while they're just kind of humans and curse users. And I
It
just
also
again,
explained why the curses kind of got stronger and shit too.
yeah, that was a cool thing too with the balance of power. It's just Gojo's just the guy. He's just little Gojo walking down the street, hands in his pockets, not a care in the world.
Was that at this episode too? Oh my god, 'cause
Yeah.
it feels like so long since I
mean,
watched
both
it.
of them together. Yeah,
Yeah.
He was like, what do you say? He was like, "Get out of here, weakling," or something
yeah.
like
He's
that.
like, stop
Oh my
looking
God.
at me.
And great fun fact is the voice actor was the same voice actor as Killua. The one who voiced
Really?
Oh,
young,
No, that's
seriously?
great.
the one that
'Cause he
voiced
literally
young
looks like
Gojo,
Killua.
yeah,
Walking down the
is young
street, yeah, hands
Killua's
in the
voice
pockets.
actor.
It's actually hilarious.
Dude, that backstory was great because you're right. Like it's just his impact around him. He doesn't even need to do anything for people to just be like shit. Like we have to be good human beings because there's a slight chance that this guy. It's like the Batman TikTok where it's like you're in Gotham and it's like you pull a fire alarm or something and it's just Batman there that just beats you fucking down. Just like average life.
Yeah, that's what it would be. Like they literally tried to kill him, and they just shaking their boots and
I
just
want
get done in,
more
basically. Yeah.
Kid Gojo.
What is remember in Magicians, like the magicians that were not with the school, what were they called?
See, we've
Hedge
been over
witches?
this before.
He-
Hedge
like
witches. Yeah.
hedge. That's I like whenever I see curse users because it reminds me of that because they're not affiliated with like the Jutsu Academy or whatever the hell it's called.
But these people are also were like
They're evil.
these are evil
Yeah.
people. They legitimately want to just go out of their way to be.
I just I like the lore. Like it makes
Oh,
me
no.
wonder, like how do they learn how to do the curse energy manipulation? Like what was
Yeah,
their
like, did they go? They didn't go to school.
Yeah, they didn't go to school, so like how did they get so strong?
they
How is
did.
this guy like facing off against Megami and Yuji? Like Yuji is got endless whatever stamina, power. Like it's just so sweet.
Speaking of that guy's power was actually, I feel like, really OP. I feel like if he could just turn it off and on, that would make things even way more difficult.
Then he would be actually OP.
Yeah, because then you would have to take guesses on whether you want to use full strength, half strength. But it seemed like for him, it was always reversed. So no matter
Yeah.
what, yeah.
What were you thinking? Because I mean, the start of this fight, he
I
falls.
really
He's not
just-
hurt. He's just laying there. They're kind of kicking his ass, but he's not getting damaged.
I couldn't piece it out. I just genuinely thought he was just just really strong defense.
Yeah, just like strong D. Yeah,
I
mean,
thought-
that makes sense.
I will be honest, my memory was a little foggy watching this episode when Megumi like kind of countered and hit him with like the hilt of his
Mhm.
blade.
It, like, knocked
I
him
thought
out.
maybe he had like a count, like you can only hit him with like counters,
Mhm. Right.
which is kind of
kind of
this,
there,
like,
a little
kinda
bit. 'Cause
close.
Counters are usually going to be a little bit weaker, but
Yeah.
they catch you off guard.
or like maybe anything he doesn't lay his eyes on. I don't know, something. It was
I couldn't piece anything together with it.
he's cool.
Megumi figures it out in a great way too. Because I mean, like you're saying, with that kind of hilt strike, and then he tests the hypothesis with the rabbits, which
Right.
is
The
just,
rabbits were so cool too. I loved
yeah.
them.
They were
I
cute.
love that they kept in the Yuji holding one.
Yes, of course Yuji had to be holding just one of them.
That's like one of people's like favorite little manga panels is like when he lets him go and Yuji's like in the corner just holding one of the rabbits. It's just so funny that great that they kept it in there. It got a laugh out of me for sure.
I find it so interesting, like the characters that are even like an ounce stronger than others, like they have no urgency at all. They're just like going into this like fucking war, like all right, like whatever, like we're just gonna fuck shit up. And I guess they're cocky because they've had Gojo this whole time and whatnot. But man, like it's such an interesting story. It's the fight is so intense, but like they're cruising, you
They're
know?
just eager to scrap, honestly.
Yeah.
Which is great.
This has been a fantastic
Makes for
season.
great television. Yeah. I mean, and Megumi, so he drops that max elephant on him which in itself is cool as shit. And he catches it, which is wild. And then he's like, "Oh, it's just distraction for Yuji throwing a fucking car at you." I just thought that's the funniest. Like, that's such a great encapsulation of their tag team.
I liked how
He just
Megumi
whips that
during their
car at
fight
him.
was like, I'm having more trouble keeping up with Yuji than I am with the villain.
Oh, that was a great shot.
Like, that's sick. Like, Yuji has grown so fast. It only makes you wonder, you, Dave, like what his ceiling is, if there is one. And don't forget, there's Sukuna there, like hidden
Yeah.
behind the hedges.
Out of the
Yeah, it's
three,
just like raw
I would,
Yuji.
I think out of the trio of our class, I would probably put Megumi still at number one, even though he did have that quote there. But then I would put
He's got a domain
Yuji.
expansion.
Granted, I think Nobara, that's her name, right?
Hmm?
Nobara.
Nobara,
Nobara,
Nobara.
yeah.
I don't really know exactly how to pronounce it.
It's whatever
I
you
think
want.
she's strong too, but these two are proving to be, they're supposed to be the next Gojo Geto combo in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. I will say,
And-
out of all like the big mangas, this is like, I think Jujutsu Kaisen is comparable to your Naruto, your like
Yeah.
Bleach. You know what I mean? Like, just the
new
impact the
generation.
characters have, the newer generation, exactly. And if you want to put My Hero there, fine. Nobara.
Do you want to put My Hero
I
there?
would have maybe like 4 years ago. Now
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
fair.
I don't even want to talk about it. But Nobara is like definitely one of the strongest and most capable female protagonists
Mhm.
in recent
They
history,
actually
in my
have a
opinion.
few in here. I really like Maki. Maki's always been one of my favorites in this show too.
Yeah, like I
Meme's
just
great,
hate
too.
like the Lucy from Fairy Tale, or like
Yeah.
the
What do they call that? Like a
Nami.
tsundere?
like no, Nami's not. I don't think Nami falls
She
in that.
used
But
to
like,
be that
yeah,
trope though. Like I'm thinking like pre-time skip
Yeah, like
Nami,
that-
like kind of like afraid.
right.
Still
like,
has
what's
kind of
Naruto's
potential.
Oh,
girl
thinking of the
name?
opposite.
Sakura. Like,
same thing.
like,
Yeah.
dude, like that thing is so tired.
It's like
That trope
harem.
is so
I don't know.
tired.
Yeah, I don't know what you
Harem
call
is not that.
it.
Oh, settle down, Dave.
Um,
So just to wrap up, I guess, this fight, just because I thought again, to go on the thread of Yuji growing too, is like Megumi's explaining it, and Yuji kind of has the final thing, like, okay, we'll just hit him with a very strong attack and then a very weak attack at the same time, which I thought was interesting because maybe you don't get that from Yuji often, or especially not earlier in the story where he's kind of picking up on this kind of, let's call it, fight IQ type of thing. And the animation in the final shot is just like really good. I'm obsessed with the way they visualize the curse energy like around his fists because it looks sick and that color is amazing. And when it's Yuji and the guy like going knife against fist, and just like the way the action is shot and drawn is so good, and then it stops and we get the 4 different like kind of camera angles of him getting hit like with the air. It's just like, I thought they fucking balled out on this shot. I thought it was so good. It was a great way to
final
end this
shot.
fight.
I was definitely on my feet. Just
Yeah,
I was ready to
it
go.
was so good. It was, and I love how they made the point too of like the hit couldn't be too weak, or like air resistance walking around would just like kill him type of thing. So like Megumi's just the man. I
Yeah,
love when
he's
he
so
just sits
smart.
back and just figures it all out. He's such a beast. And they all make fun of, well, they make fun of him in the moment when he's like, that was a dumb question, like asking about Gojo or whatever, like the bluff about Gojo. He's playing 4D chess out here, baby.
I love the final quote of the episode when he's like, "You're surprisingly adept to Yuji," and he's just like, "Really?"
He's growing. Okay, so just to kind of wrap them up, because they don't have a ton in episode 12, the two of them. So basically what we learn is that they get the little pin thing and they break the veil. Only the veil keeping sorcerers out is broken. They see Ino falling from the sky, and fucking Yuji catches him, which is insane to think about, because I think that would legit flatten a normal human being. And then they kind of split up.
Why did Megumi not catch him with the bird? Was that not the plan? Like, didn't he summon the bird and he goes up? And I'm thinking in my head, okay, he's gonna catch him, dodges him for whatever reason, and forces Yuji to catch him at the ground. I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah, to be honest, your guess I think is as good as mine in that situation.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Maybe he sensed the presence of his father and he was distracted.
Interesting. Because they do split up here, and Yuji obviously runs into a fateful acquaintance. Let's say he runs into Choso, and Megumi now is alone. Megumi even says maybe it's not the best idea to split up right now, but also it's a good idea for Yuji to kind of continue on. So yeah, they give us where Yuji kind of where he's running into, but Megumi, we'll see what happens. Obviously, he is in the vicinity of his father, so I think you've already
I'm so
connected those
excited.
dots. Yeah, most people I think can connect those dots.
I am so excited.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so I think we kind of want to end with Nanami, just because that's the next like great thing to talk about. So we'll very quickly we can do Mei Mei. She's technically the end of episode 12, but it's not like we give a fuck about that. So we left her with these two curse spirits. I don't remember off the top of my head if they were special grades, but essentially she just kicks the shit out of them. We get like a nice monologue about her. We're getting this reinforcement about her, how she used to just train physical strength. She used to never use her technique. And that kind of puts her in an interesting place now that she realized that she had to use her technique to kind of ascend to that like special grade, first, grade sorcerer level. Just like an interesting background about her. And then she runs into Geto, which sparks a very interesting conversation, internal monologue, and then obviously ending to the episode.
Unlike Gojo, who had a very shocked, surprised look on his face when he saw Geto, Mei Mei did not have that. Was a little bit more calm, cool, collected. But I get it because Gojo obviously has a deeper relationship with Geto, so it was obvious, and was the one who dealt the quote unquote finishing blow to Geto. So of course it would make sense that he would be more surprised. But I really like how we get her talking to Geto as well as thinking through like this isn't Geto, but it is, but it's also a fake. And I just like that analytical side of her as well. Just so many badass moments in these two episodes. I literally just cannot contain how excited I was like in the moment watching these. Like I think Alki came home like 5 minutes after I had watched this and maybe a couple other scenes. And I'm just telling him I was so hyped, man. I wasn't even watching. I was supposed to be watching football, wasn't even watching it because I just really
it fires you up. It fires you up. The story, the fights are just like A+, man. I have to say though, Mei Mei is cool and analytical, smart, blah blah blah. But this shit with her brother fucking pisses me off.
That's just like I guess another trope of anime that we could just go. I personally definitely could go without. I think it's weird too.
We don't have to talk about it. I just
but her that question written down of thoughts on Wee Wee. So
Wee
he's whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's supposed to be strong or not. He was in the domain with Mei Mei, but she's just so strong that she was easily able to break out of it.
I think it's cool how she like trained herself to be so strong. Her power is so limiting.
That her power was that she just summons crows.
She has those crows, and that's kind of the extent of what we know at this point, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. Obviously, she's very determined to be a grade 1 is like nothing to sniff at. It's and she was in the the flashback, right? She got out of the maze, right?
Well, she was also the one that like had a chance to talk to Geto one-on-one.
No, that's somebody else.
No, she was the one
that's a different woman.
I confuse them all the time too,
that's
Dave.
Sumiki.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That honestly makes me take away a little bit less from this scene here because I honestly thought she was the one that was telling Geto in the past, if you want to do you, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's Sumiki.
And okay, whatever. I guess
she was
one who's always just kind of been introduced to us.
They're both
this,
white-haired
like,
characters,
money hungry.
right?
I think Sumiki's blonde, technically, from my memory. She's the one that Sumiki like rides the motorcycle. That's Toji's like.
Yeah, he thought that was that.
Okay.
Yeah, just I guess to try to create a different visual in your head.
She did have like banter with. They were classmates. Like Gojo, Geto, and her were classmates, and if you remember from the flashback, they were like she was like mess with them, like I don't feel like doing anything. And Geto was like, no shit or whatever, something like that. So they had banter, like they have history.
My only issue with Mei Mei is her goddamn freaking hair. It's just crazy.
It's like funny, a unique character design, I guess you could say, but it's just funny to think about how she actually sees anything.
It annoys me to no end, but other than that, I think she is really badass.
Yeah, I like the smallpox deity too. That's a cool curse spirit.
Oh, that was
sense too. That's what we know off of like how they're created. I think smallpox as a very strong special grade curse spirit makes.
I love how they just, if you explain your power, it just makes it stronger because it helps so much.
Love that part.
It's just a great reminder always because it's just something I listen for, and I'm just like, why do they do this? Oh yeah, just makes it stronger.
Yeah.
Because
There
it's
you
like
go.
Also-
a curse, right? So it like amplifies
It's also
the
fun
fear.
when they talked about the strength of the veil, and he's like, if they're hiding outside the veil, so like by putting themselves at that more risk, it actually makes the veil stronger.
Mhm.
That like give and take, it's not necessarily like that law of equivalent exchange from Full Metal, but it's like that idea almost like you're putting yourself more at risk by describing your cursed, so like it makes
Right.
it stronger. The concept of that is very fun,
Definitely.
and it makes for a lot of good shit here. So yeah, but
It's
she just has her storyline just ends, and this episode technically ends. Great quote of when she breaks out of the coffin after the rock smashes it and everything, and she's still there. Just how many years has it been since my life, or since something threatened my life? And it's like, all right, she's getting serious now, because clearly she has not been serious almost any time we've seen her.
The massive W's for our grade 1 special sorcerers
Yeah.
were just, it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
the smallpox deity thing reminds me of Chainsaw Man a little bit, and I'm not gonna elaborate. I don't think you guys have seen it, so
That thing looked
Yeah, I don't have
deadly. He whipped it out, and I could even tell that one felt like a little different than most of the ones that he summons.
yeah, I'm excited for the continuation of that fight. That's a good
oh,
one.
and I know we didn't expect to talk so much about this specific interaction, but he also brought up the movie Zero
Mhm.
when he was like, I used most of my arsenal like a year ago, or whatever he said. Like
Who
that
said
was kind of
Ghetto.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and I
Is
thought that
cool.
was pretty nice tie back.
It's just crazy to think that it's honestly only been a year, because to me, as someone who watches these seasons come out multiple years after, season 1 came out however many years ago it was, and the movie,
Yeah.
and then this, it's
Yeah,
crazy to think
Yuji's
that
been
all
a
that-
student for like months.
I know, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
that
that's
things are
actually
moving
hilarious.
quick. Yeah, like it's only been a year since Ghetto's death. That's crazy.
And we're moving a little quick because I mean, the last thing we could talk about here is going to be, we'll call it the Nanami storyline. Technically, there's like a small scene with Maki, Nobara, and the head of the Zenin clan, where Maki's like, all right, I'll handle, like the veil breaks, and Maki's like, I'll handle all these transferred humans on this with that 6 spear that she has that's kicking ass. And so Nobara and Nita, so they kind of just are on their way to help everyone else. I forget the exact direction. Um, and they run into Blondie with the hand sword, who we know ran it through with Ichiji, who Nanami actually finds a little earlier. So that's kind of Nanami finds Ichiji, and then Blondie runs into Nobara and Nita. And I think we talk about everything before Nanami shows up, and then the separate conversation can be everything after Nanami shows up. Only because I think Nobara deserves a little bit of a solo conversation.
My first comment will be, of course, on Nanami, though, at the beginning of the episode, though, how he's just talking about how, he's not one to consider emotions or feelings when going into a fight. He's usually very strategic about things. We've learned to find out that he's that guy who will, sacrifice someone in order for the betterment of the group, potentially. If he has to make a decision, it's all going to be calculated and logical to him. And that's it was kind of cool seeing that, because you knew as he's giving that speech and he's walking up to the body of Ichiji that things are not going to go that way. He's definitely going to take his emotions into account. But agreed for Nobara here. I just can't get her name down.
Whatever way you want to take it, just take it.
I've always thought her power is just really cool too. It's all the powers in JJK are just so unique. Hers with the hammer and nail. I always think it's funny when she's swinging it around as a weapon. Just
I love when she just uses the hammer. It's just,
it
looks funny.
It looks funny, but obviously there's a purpose for it all. But the nails and everything are so badass, I think, from her.
She's a hustler, dude. She's got heart.
Yeah, she's definitely got a lot of heart, and I totally respect her. Absolutely.
I said it earlier. She's just like a really cool, capable character. This guy with the sword. First of all, I think his sword is sweet.
That was gonna be my
like
was the design of the sword.
The hand holding, like this, it's like I just think it's so nice.
It's unique. JJK
I like
is nothing but unique.
I like how she takes charge to Nobara pretty well, where she kind of assesses the situation, tells Nita what to do. Obviously, it doesn't work out that way because she doesn't know that this sword has a fucking mind of its own at the time. And obviously that comes back to haunt her when she gets absolutely rocked by the sword coming through the smoke, which was pretty crazy.
I was getting Mortal Kombat vibes when it's like flashing into the skulls and everything.
She got rocked. The episodes were pretty close to the chapters, but this was a a little addition, like the head knocking and stuff.
Mhm.
It was, I think, a nice
Yeah.
excuse me, extra detail.
It puts more emphasis on the direness of the situation, for sure, because you just don't know how she's going to get out of it, especially with the other girl just being stabbed multiple times in the legs, which was painfully brutal. And
Yeah,
this guy was
brutal.
definitely pissing me off a lot.
Yeah,
But it's not too long after we see the walk up of
Yeah.
Nanami.
Dude, they beefed him up
dude,
or
He
something.
looks great.
He looks so
Yes,
cool. I
yeah.
loved him reading,
Oh
dude.
my
He was one of
God.
my favorite reading.
I mean,
Like,
he's
he's
definitely
just so
jumped a lot
sweet.
of ranks for me with this scene alone. Like, this will be
Dude.
my gym motivation for the next month easily.
He's
Like,
a savage.
it was so fucking badass, man.
He
Holy
didn't even
it's-
pull out his sword thing, whatever, the paddle,
No,
whatever
he
it
just
is.
wrapped it
like,
around his hand.
Oh my
He
god.
wanted to feel it. He wanted to physically feel it for sure, dude. What's the number and location of your allies? It's just
I know that was such a killer. Like, just like cut to the chase.
Oh
my
Don't fuck
God.
around.
He looks
when he kicks
so
him and he's
clean.
like it didn't touch him with the sword and he's like kicking a brick wall. It's like, oh my God, he's ready to go.
Oh, that was so great.
That was
And then it's
badass.
Like, I didn't slash him either. What the fuck's going on?
I like the little detail that guy said. I was ordered to kill everybody in a black suit. Does this guy count too? So like we know that these people have. This is like obviously it's a coordinated effort. I don't know. It's just nice. I was wondering like, the guy that Megami and Yuji fought, he didn't seem to hint at any larger plan. So I like
Yeah.
that this guy did. And Nanami is the first in this instance where we've seen express any sort of like emotion. And I know earlier I mentioned that they seem to not really give a shit. The Zenin guy was like, "Give me some fucking sake," and then meanwhile Nanami's like ready to. Oh, I mean, obviously his comrades have fallen, and he's ready to fuck shit up.
Yeah. Dude, the first punch is just so satisfying.
I was legitimately laughing because one, it was just funny, but two, I'm just so hyped. So I'm just cracking up because I'm just enjoying every second of this. But he gets
Oh my
fucking yeeted throughout the mall. Just pure shots of the face. Love the quick flash of the ruler or whatever it is, like the meters.
Yeah, that measurement, that like
I think that's
7/3 or
so.
whatever.
Yeah, I think that's really badass too.
Yeah,
And
he thinks he's dead too. He's like, I died? Question
I
mark?
thought he
He's
was
like, "Oh, I
too.
Yeah,
He-
well, it's
he
interesting 'cause
definitely
he
was.
says I would have died without my technique.
That's
And
what I
he's-
found.
Yeah. So what
curious,
is
too.
his technique?
He even mentions that like he doesn't fully know what it is. So
don't-
I know what it is, but like
Mhm.
it's just like interesting.
I'm just curious if he's gonna. Maybe it's kind of like a dual personality thing. Maybe there's another side of him that gets unleashed, kind of like a Cavendish thing.
Yeah, that's
Because-
interesting.
But I don't know. Nanami definitely put this guy to
Yeah.
work, and I don't know. If,
Dude, he pulls his hair. I saw so many clips. On the
How
internet.
would you do?
what was
Holy
it?
took
shit, you were too slow. When
What
he like
was it?
picks him up by his hair, and I saw so many people reacting to that, especially like female
Oh, like
streamers.
getting turned. Yeah, turned.
They
on.
were
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they did it for us. They did it for
Yeah,
us.
exactly.
They made
Well,
it all.
like you said,
like,
they beefed him up. Dude, all his like arm veins are like popping out. He's filling the hell out of
one of the
that buttoned-up
comments was
shirt.
like, all the girls are gonna wish they were getting their hair pulled by Nanami.
Yeah.
Dude, like literally, that I wrote down too, like the animation, the drawing of it, like they literally went all out. Like they went all out on this
Well,
fight.
on
in
that
this
on
scene.
that scene with that was fan service, huh?
That's what we're
A little
talking
bit.
about, though, is when we get those like flashes of like really poor
Yeah.
animation,
Yeah.
it's because they're trying to do it for moments like this. I think even earlier in this specific episode 12, when Nobara and the other girl are running around the corner of like the mall, it's globs basically
I'm
of
okay
paint
with it.
on. Yeah, I mean it's fine.
I didn't
Obviously.
see that. I was actually gonna comment that I thought the animation overall was a lot better than that ghosting shit when he fought the fucking cricket. Or
And it's
whatever.
because a
think
lot of the
it's also-
moments in
I
this
think
episode were
yeah,
important.
It impacts like the episode itself, and I think it impacts like the season as a whole. Is when they focus on certain scenes. I mean, dude, he when he hits him with the fucking white beard, where he just like
Yeah.
throws him up and like slowly comes down, and he just punches him through the window across the street, and I was just like freaking out. Also, Nobara has a clutch play where she like pins the hand to the ceiling.
Oh yes,
with the,
Mhm.
yes,
with the
yes.
nail, which was awesome, and he's like, "Read
Not
the
gonna let you-
room."
yeah, not gonna let you do that. Read the room.
Yeah, that was actually sick. We just, I mean, I could talk about that in a Nami fight forever, but we can handle that off the pod. So, the last things we kind of learn here is that Ichichi is actually alive.
Mhm.
And then Nanami is going to go join Maki and the head of the Zenin clan underneath to kind of go fight. and Nobara like wants to come, and he immediately is like, no. Like Nanami himself is at the minimum level required for the fights ahead. Like you only get in my way. I just love that line. Like I'm at the minimum level required.
Yeah, that was really fucking badass. And it, again, just shows the gap. I mean, I know they're all getting recommended to be promoted, but it's just there's still such a huge gap between all of them being an experienced grade 1. Shit, what was I gonna say here? My other comment was gonna be for this Zenin guy who was just chilling while Maki was doing all the heavy lifting earlier. Again, I expect him to interact with probably Toji at some point too and be like, oh, this guy's back. I since this guy's old, I would expect him to know at least.
Well, he's his elder.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
he's gonna be like, I cast you out years ago. And you're dead. What the fuck is
he'll
your
recognize
deal?
him for sure. Yeah.
So excited. All the Zening shit, I want to come together. Absolutely.
Yuji's fight is gonna pop the fuck off.
I mean, dude, we have Yuji versus Chozo. We have Nanami heading into something. We have Megumi potentially.
Dude, how can they top this
Toji.
season? I don't know. After this arc, like it's this arc.
So
this arc was fucking top notch. I read back on our text, Kyle, talking about this shit.
Oh, really?
And I get like fired up all over again.
Yeah.
Back in like 2020. So
the rest of the season should be nothing but absolute bangers. We're going to be covering it, like I said at the top of this. We're going to be taking them 2 at a time. So we'll be back after episode 14. So we'll cover 13 and 14. That'll be in 2 weeks. And hopefully we'll be able to just kind of stick to that 2x2 schedule, depending on if it falls through like a holiday like Thanksgiving. I don't know if we're going to get into Christmas because I'm not going to do the mental math in the moment. But either way, 2x2 is the goal for these. And yeah, just they're so fun to watch. When we actually get to watch them and talk about them is always a blast. So Dave, I can't wait for you to keep finding out what is going on in the Shibuya arc. And that's going to do it for our episode covering episodes 11 and 12, Seance and Dual Knife. And once again, we are Bingetown TV, and thank you for listening.